See, we can't imitate Yeshua directly. He's not here for us to watch. But hopefully we can find those that are walking in his ways, walking and imitating him, that we can imitate them. The key thing is, if you don't know, and that's why we have a teaching called What Did Yeshua Do? If you don't know what he did, you don't know if the person that you're imitating is doing the things Yeshua did. You got to know what he did. And now here's the problem. This is written in English. It's not what the Greek says. Okay? So the context of this whole section, again, remember, is order, vertical alignment, being under authority in the context of the body or assembly. Verse 4 says, having his head covered. The better translation of the Greek would be according to his own authority or headship. If you look at the Greek, one of the words that's right in there before the word head is better translated according to. All authority, scripturally, requires voluntary submission. That's interesting to say requires, because requires volunteering. But for it to work and function, you have to voluntarily submit. Here, this woman didn't have any choice. And so what we're talking about here is like, look, if you're not going to come under headship, well, then you're brought shame to yourself. You might as well have your head shaved and have your nails clipped and be looked at like a captive woman. I believe that it also flows over that you can utilize and choose to utilize the authority of the community to choose to voluntarily come under. And that's something you do by agreement. You come to the leadership and ask, would you be my covering, and accept the responsibility that if I share with you things that I may vow, that you can annul them. And I think that actually works in the structure of Scripture to have a communal availability of leadership for the ladies who are not covered otherwise. Everybody's journey is the same. So for those out there who say, oh, well, we don't need leadership and we don't need structure, well, that leads to that. The people deciding for themselves and everybody eating and drinking and dancing and whatever they want to do and just going off, and next thing you know, you got a golden calf. A lot of the ladies, I know you're frustrated because your men are not imitating Messiah, or even the leadership for that matter. Okay, men, we've got to step it up. Do not, I'll say this again, do not give your ladies grief if you haven't figured your own self out. Why do you expect them to do when you're not doing? Are you under authority? Have you come and found a leadership to get under and actually submit to and have somebody that can tell you no? You know why the body's such a mess? Because we haven't had enough submission under authority for someone to make you stop it. There's nobody in your life, men, who can come to you anymore and say, knock it off, cut it out, stop doing that. Let's go back to the first thing we were talking about as far as verse 2 when it talked about traditions and Torah. Is there a Torah command saying the ladies have to put anything on their head? No. Is Paul allowed to create Torah? No. All right, that settles the issue, doesn't it? So he's not saying that he's making new Torah here. So if he's not saying that, then what could he be saying? He says, look, it says because of the messengers. Now, there are a couple of possibilities of what he's talking about here, because remember, we are now a good 2,000 years after he wrote it. So what is it that he's talking about? Well, again, because of gender confusion issues, men and women wore similar things in terms of robes and stuff, that the long-haired men look, I had long hair as a little kid, and I, proud to say, was a cute little boy, but too cute, which meant that some people thought I was a girl. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Seeing little boys with long hair and not always knowing what's what. You know, when they're like 2, 3 years old, whatever. And that's the problem. Whereas if you start doing the things with the hair, you help bring a little bit of a differentiation. Okay? And so it's not to say that Samson had long hair. He wasn't ashamed. So I don't know what Paul's getting into. Remember, he's talking to his own group of people about their own situation. He's not creating Torah here. He's simply saying to the group he's dealing with, look, this is part of what's going on. Because everything we're doing is getting prepared or practicing for the full authority that's coming. And how you practice is how you do. This is a very important thing. How you practice is how you do. You practice something wrong over and over again. Guess what? When it really comes up to it, you're going to do it the same way. I was a martial arts instructor once upon a time. Already that's causing a stir, I get it. Everybody's freaking out. He's into paganism and listen, that was back in the mid-'80s. Before most of you guys who are freaking out were born, so relax. Okay, but one of the things that was important was we didn't just teach people to practice punching 1 or 2 inches short of hitting somebody. We would put on gear so that we could actually fully punch, because guess what? You practice only coming within 2 inches of somebody. When you get out there in the street and you start fighting, you're still not going to have the right distance. You will never have practiced having the right distance. How you practice is how you will do. For the one who is eating and drinking unworthily eats and drinks to judgment to himself. Guess why? Because when you're not worthy, you're really not covenanted. And it's the covenanted that have the covering of the blood. I'll say that again. When you act unworthily, then you're really not covenanted, because you have to step out of covenant to act that way. And the blood covers the covenanted.